So thank you everyone and welcome to Global and Leaders Group. Very excited, actually very thrilled to have an awesome panelist today. We're coming from United States, France, Switzerland, Australia, United Arab Emirates, Sweden and Spain. Yes, Sarah, love that, your energy. So here you will find top leaders that are making a difference in the lives of others. So let me introduce you. So we have Waddell, Duncan Littlefield, Rita Bertschy, Devon Harris, Sarra Lajnef, Deon Thomas, Daley, Henner Janzen, Reina-Flor, Okori, Makendengue, and myself, Sonia, Saidi. So all of you more or less have two things in common. Starting a career as an athlete, and then shift to become your own entrepreneur. So here is my first question. Do you think that athletes and entrepreneurs are using the same formula to succeed in their life? If yes, what is it? So who would like to start first and answer the question? Yes, Devon, I know you want to do it. We cannot hear you.
I think his...
You are on mute.
He's on mute, yeah.
Yeah.
See.
Yes.
Yeah, the only way to keep me quiet is to put me on mute, by the way. So, hey, Chris, great to see you, brother. How are you? Yeah. So, I think obviously I think we all know that success principles are universal, and definitely when it comes down to some of the commonalities between athletes and entrepreneurs, we are risk takers. There is nothing obviously in our background that says that we're going to become successful as athletes, but we decided that we're going to jump out and put the work in and and risk everything. Really, we really pour ourselves into what we're doing, dreaming and working consistently. And it's the same thing with an entrepreneur, I think. There's nothing in your background that suggests that this venture that you're stepping out into will succeed. But again, you throw caution to the wind and you step out and you put the work in and, hopefully succeed.
Yeah. Someone else would like to share something? Yes.
Devon, I can't agree more. I think the other two things is, as athletes, we kind of, as entrepreneurs as well, we share two things in my eyes. It's the ability to accept failure and learn from it. Because when you are an athlete, when you're an entrepreneur, you're consistently judged by the performance you show up for. You consistently are judged by the last game. You're consistently judged by the last business. You're consistently judged by how you're perceived in the market. And the ability to kind of not really care about the judgment is critical. And I think as an athlete growing up, you learn from that. And I kind of always say that one of the best things my parents ever did for me was that they celebrated effort and never a victory or never a loss. But it was always the effort I put into it. And I think successful athletes feel the same way. They show up, successful entrepreneurs feel the same way. They show up with the best intention, and whatever the outcome is they're good with it because they're making the right decisions for them. And, let everybody else judge. They don't really care. They're going to fail and it's going to be perfectly okay. It's just a matter of how you learn, how you adapt, and how you understand that failure.
Exactly. Yes, I cannot agree more than that. Someone else would like to say something or add something?
Yes.
Yes, Andre.
Yes, I'm gonna add something. Hi. Yes. I just would like to say that Eloy Littlefield is absolutely right. And as a matter of fact, it's right, because when you start doing something, especially when you start doing something from nothing, it's you put your ideas, you put your mind into it, and you put a lot of work and a lot of effort. And I believe it's also really critical that you learn from your mistakes because if you do not learn from your mistake, what's going to happen once, let's say, your performance or something is over, you could have a lot of heartbreak or heartache or whatever you want to call it, like depression, because it's really hard. That's why I believe it's really important to learn from what you, I won't say your mistakes, from what you didn't, from what you didn't do. Like Thomas Edison, who created the light bulb, he said, I discovered 9,999 ways not to make a light bulb, So yes, that's what I believe.
Good belief. Well, I discovered something. Yes, please.
I would like to give you another observation that I had. And I actually almost completely agree with the pre-speakers, but I used to work as an in-house lawyer in Hertha Berlin, one of the big soccer clubs in German Bundesliga. And my boss there, the sporting director, Dieter Hoeneß, the brother of the president in Bayern Munich, he always told me, Henner, we're in a team sport and you have 11 players on the pitch and you have to learn one thing. Those players who are strikers, or the people play soccer the way they work. And it was a very interesting observation, because it's in many ways, it's really true. He himself has been a striker, and he himself immediately wanted to become the boss, the one who is always scoring goals, the one who is finalizing. You look at other people, they are more midfielders, people who run from one penalty area to the other ones, who are creative, but not the ones who are finalizing. So that's an observation that I did, and my boss was completely right. It was interesting. So I very often see people nowadays, and I see them in business life, and then I ask them, did you ever play soccer? And here in Europe, most people somehow played soccer. And if it was only with their friends, and then I asked them, so what was your position? And it's quite a good way to judge them.
That's a good one.
And the worst are the defenders. They always make my life difficult.
They're always getting in the way, huh?
Exactly.
That's an interesting way to actually to talk about athletes and football players. So what about the individual sports athletes? Can you recognize?
I've been wondering about that.
Can you recognize
that? I used to be a swimmer for quite a long time, and to be honest, I haven't figured out until today. So let's cope with soccer.
No, I think I can. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. It's okay. Go ahead.
No, I was about to say, I think I can see that correlation, though, in terms of individual sport athletes. I grew up in Jamaica, and my first love was football, soccer. But I hated losing because somebody didn't play hard. So I ran track. And so everything is on you. If win, lose, or draw, it's your fault, right? You can't blame anybody else. And I think entrepreneurs have that mindset as well, right? They take everything upon themselves. And obviously, especially when you're just starting out your business, it's all on you. And win, lose, or draw, it's your fault.
True.
Yeah. Someone else like to say something else, or I can ask the second question? Yeah, go ahead for the next one. Well, the next question is, what's the biggest factor that helped you to be successful?
I think I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Well, for me, I think the biggest factor is to have a goal. So actually having a clear vision and having a goal to work towards, I think it's very helpful to know what we want and where we want to go. So at least we can have a goal, we plan how to get to that goal, and then we work from there. And it helps a lot to just have a clear vision towards what we want. So that would be the biggest factor, I think, for me.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Someone else?
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Do you hear me? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure you could hear me. No, I totally relate to the goal, having a goal, but I'd say also having really understanding the importance of the mental strength you need for competing or performing, either in sports or in a business, how your mindset can be an asset or an obstacle, and really learning how to use it to your advantage. I think that was a big key discovery at some point. And I was a dressage rider, so it was actually a very I couldn't pretend that my stress or emotions would not interact with my performance, because my horse would directly tell me it's really clear, and you don't even need to speak, they sense it, and they're really so sensitive to these cues. So I think it kind of forced me to go down that road to really be aware of my mindset, emotions, and all this.
Very interesting, very interesting. I realized something after talking, of course, with all of you, and well, I love to be, I really love to watch sports documentary, and I realized one thing. I would say the little difference with someone who become an entrepreneur later on in his career is you as an athlete, you have been trained in your younger age to perform. So yes, definitely you have the mindset to help you to move forward to your goal. You have been trained with your mind to reach your goal. Someone later on will start his business, he will figure out, most of the time maybe alone on his journey, but you more or less being surrounded with a coach, with the right people to help you to reach your goal. So do you think, is it what I've been sharing, is it right, or do you see, is it correct, or do you agree, or yes or no at some point?
Hi everybody.
Yes, Reina.
I will take that one. So please excuse my big French English accent.
Oh, yeah.
I speak English with a big French accent. So coming from the world of athletics, track and field, I run hurdles, 100 meters hurdles. And to answer your question, this is really interesting, because when we are an athlete, we have a team, we have people to help us to achieve our goal. But one thing important is that athletes have really a 3D vision. So what I call a network planning of their vision. Every single step, every process we have to follow to get to the final destination, which we call the journey. Athletes are very, very aware of that. So for example, now there is a pandemic, there is a sanitary crisis, but athletes have the game plan in their mind. They know that this kind of disruption is like an injury. Maybe you are 1 year off, 6 months off, but you keep focusing on your process. And that might be the key factor for peak performance and success at the end of the journey. You know, while maybe in entrepreneurship, this skill set is not trained, because entrepreneurs can be alone. And I think for athletes, as for entrepreneurs, I think if we succeed at keeping this mindset to keep a visual network planning and the seasoning, so the time seasoning of each process, then we can stay calm, we can stay relaxed, and despite of setbacks, we can stay focused to be able to reach our destination.
Yeah, well said. I agree with you also in the terms of, especially this year, facing the COVID-19, it has been very, very difficult, I will say, in each industry, in each, I will say, expertise, that everybody from day one have to be more focused. We have that visionary mindset that, yes, we are all suffering from the external environment, but shall we stop to keep going, to keep achieving our goal? Maybe just readjusting how we can keep maintaining the distance, I would say. And yes, keeping in our mind to that focus and that motivation sometimes is very challenging. It's not easy, but in the end of the day, this is what we have to hold on in some point.
It's really a training. There is no serendipity on that. It's a training. Everything is really precisely set. That's the big difference, you know? It's not that you just go and you see what happened. Happen what happens, but we know really exactly where we are from day one to day, you know, and how we can move on. Well, that's my perspective as an athlete.
Yeah. It's like it's like having
something different, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like having kind of where we have our vision board, I will say, in some point. So whatever things happen, we keep going. Of course, there is some obstacles come time to time, but we still find a way to keep moving forward. Anyone else would like to say something? Share?
I'll jump in here. Chris here. So it's interesting that you asked the question with regard to the coach, right? Because as children, we start with a coach, and it's kind of like all the information comes to us as an athlete. As we progress in our career, we take a lot more ownership of what's going on and start building that team, which as an entrepreneur is something that is such an integral part of our success, is building that team, recognizing what we do well, what we need to continue to do well, and then, or what we need other people to do well, but then also thinking about the learning process. As an athlete, you are where you are today, but if you don't continue to progress and you don't continue to learn, you're not going to continue to be successful. And I think as an entrepreneur, that is such an integral part, that it's so easy to become complacent, but to remember that what we learn today is going to benefit us tomorrow. And that's the mindset for me. So.
Excellent.
I think the other unique thing is arguably how crazy are you? And like, that's the space of like where the athlete's the one doing the work. And like, what's the old expression? Like, those who can't do, teach. And, you know, it's one of those things where if they, you know, you look at a coach, I know I've been very, very fortunate to have some incredible mentors and coaches, both in business and in athletics. And I wouldn't have changed them for the world. But the reality is that I was the one putting the work in. And I was the one taking the licks. I was the one failing. I was the one, you know, who looked terrible on Sunday. But then again, I also was the one who was able to raise a trophy every once in a while. And I'm really grateful that the people wanted to do both with me. And I think that's the best part about having a team around you, is that they believe in what you're doing and why. And it's because for me, at least for me, it was bigger than just sport. And now, you know, that's the biggest thing I took away from it was like, when I was playing professional golf, it was like all golf. Now as entrepreneurship, it's all about my people. It's all about the companies we support. It's all about the change we can impact. And it's bigger than me. And I'm so grateful that I've had some incredible coaches and some incredible mentors to actually give me that ability to see it, even after I failed in my first career. So the coach, I think, is a much bigger part, but the fact is the coach can lay out a plan, but you're the one that has to go do the work. And that work is pretty awesome.
Yeah, because you're on the front line. Anyway, you can be surrounded with how many mentors, coaches. But at the end of the day, you have to take responsibility and do the job. You
got to be crazy.
Of course.
Like you got to be a little nuts. And I love that. Like there's got to be a little screw loose that just says like, yep, I'm ready to go. And you wake up every morning at 5 a.m. just going, I'm ready to go again. I'm ready to go again. I'm ready to go.
Exactly, yeah.
And it doesn't stop. It's such a beautiful thing when you live with purpose and you're actually obsessed with your own life. Not for like self ego, but it really is just going, man, I'm doing what I want to do. And I get to be honored by the people I get to support. And COVID has taught me that more than anything. It's like, I'm in the right thing, doing the right time for the right people. Because still every morning, 5 a.m., alarm goes off and I'm up and at 'em and I'm ready to go. because I love what I do. And and for that fact, I can honestly say that I'm a little crazy. There's got to be a screw loose, because anybody else would just roll back over and go, I'll give it an extra hour. I'm good. Like, that's just the facts. And we're out here trying to make difference and make change and be disruptors in a world that is okay with adequate. And I'm not okay with adequate. I don't think anyone in this room is okay with being average. And I think that's the beauty of bringing everybody together, is that everyone in this room, I'm honored to be here. I'm so humbled to be here, because like everyone in this room, I look around and I'm like, man, every person in this room wants to be exceptional at what they do. And that's special.
That's special. That's the special part. I love that. I really love that.
Yeah.
Good thing. Anyone else would like to share something?
Yes, I just would like to really add to what Duncan said. I mean, you have to be a little nuts, right? Because you have to be a little nuts, like you just said. Because especially sharing a little bit of my story, I'm not a born long distance runner. You know, like I ran like 1/3 of the Earth's circumference. So running from France to Morocco, and then from New York City to Los Angeles. And especially, I never was a long distance runner. So, I mean, had an idea, a vision. And obviously, I mean, as you talk to a lot of people about what you want to do, people like, well, you crazy, man. Like, are you sure? Or you get really like the Cartesian people really like, well, you don't have the genetics for it. You know what I mean? You're not perfect. I mean, sorry, you're not perfect. I mean, you don't have the genetics for it. You're not born for this, or just don't worry about it. And you get so much opposition, but it's all about having the vision, right? And that's why I relate to what Duncan said, is the screw has to be a little off, because if the screw is not a little off, then you won't be able to do it. And especially, you have to put persistency to it, consistency every day. Because I remember Hannah was running like sometime 87 kilometers a day, and I was sometimes limping, but obviously it was really painful. But the vision of getting to what I wanted to finish each day encouraged me. So it's really important to have a long-term goal, but also at the same time, you need to have your mid-term goal and your short-term goal, right? Because as I remember, as I was in like Eastern Pennsylvania, I was running with a 30-pound backpack. My knees was painful. I was like, man, I have another 2,500 miles to run to LA. And I'm going to hit like blizzard, -30 weather, 60 miles per hour gust winds. But it's okay, it teaches you humility, little step by little step, every milestone, a little bit. Then after you realize that when you do a little bit by a little bit, and look behind, you're like, wow, that already did that much. Then after your short-term step or your short-term goal, whatever floats your boat, whatever you want to call it, then after it's going to switch to mid-term goal. Mid-term is not too bad. Then after you keep on going and you just realize that you just you just achieve your goal. But however, it's also really important to not be complacent, because like, I don't remember who said it, sorry, but like that word is really important, because you can never take anything for granted. As me, for example, right now, I'm going to do it no matter what, but I'm trying to set up switching that energy, that drive into like entrepreneurs. And I'm not going to lie, I don't have a lot of experience on that. It's pretty hard. It's not easy. People like, well, you beginner speakers, and I showed my speech to one of my agents, helped me to big firm. I'm like, well, you beginners and stuff. But I'm like, who the heck are you guys to say I'm a beginner? It's okay, and you just learn from it and you keep on going. But you need to keep that fire inside. So that's really what's important to do. That same adrenaline as an athlete that you felt it. It's really important to turn it into fire. You know what I mean? You have to turn your fears into fire and just literally chase your goals no matter what. Because as you're going to think about the small victory that you had, you can use this, think about it. And each time you're going to have a doubt or mental blockage, you just apply it, you just inject it in your brain, and boom, you keep moving forward and keep pushing. That's it.
Yeah, those are my favorite words. Keep on pushing. But the screw loose piece really goes back to what I was saying earlier. about entrepreneurs and athletes are risk takers. And Duncan, spoke about getting up at 5:30 in the morning, and it's no issue. And it's really a common trait with athletes and entrepreneurs as well, right? And I claim that I don't work. And it's true. It doesn't feel like work. It doesn't mean that I don't make a lot of effort. I put in a ton load of effort, as all of you do as athletes, right? And there are days that are hard and painful, but you put in the effort anyway because there's such a passion. You have such a passion for what you do. It doesn't really feel like work. And it's the same thing in our business, right? You put in a tremendous amount of effort and you go through a long, exhausting day, and 5:30 comes around the next morning and you're up again going. So those I think are really common traits between us athletes and entrepreneurs. And Reina, don't feel bad. I speak French with a really strong Jamaican accent.
I relate to that as well, to the goal and everything that it takes. And I think it's important to have this vision, but you also really enjoy the process during the whole time. You have this, you're aiming for some result, for some goal, but you just every day enjoy the little steps and just live the moment that you're going through, because in the end that's the most important thing, because when you follow your purpose and what's meaningful to you, then you want to enjoy it and take the time to actually be in it. So I think it's also the right balance between, having this vision and also being here and living this great journey.
And I think that's a perfect kind of note too, is about enjoying that process. But part of it is understanding what your DNA is to then enjoy what process is right for you. Mm. And, it's like kind of joke that I'm a terrible COO, absolutely atrocious, like brutal. But the difference is if my COO, a great guy named Miller Yoho, and I are trying to climb a mountain, he's going to go 1 foot at a time, strap a bunch of snacks to his back and go. And I'm going to run around the bottom of the mountain and try to build a helicopter to fly to the top. But that's my DNA compared to his. Mm-hmm. But that's my process compared to his. That's what I like to do. That's what he likes to do. That's what he's good at. That's what I'm good at. And like that, for that reason, it's like, you've got to find what your unique DNA is and how to operate. And that's beautiful part of that process, is going, hey, this is right for me in the system that I'm trying to go after my goal. It's like, Andre, it's like you talking about like, I can just imagine you running through Pennsylvania with only one vision of the ocean on your brain for days. And that's it. Like, that's what it is, but that's your DNA and that's what kept you going. And I think that's so commendable. I think it's an absolute accurate fact, is just enjoying your specific process about how to get it done.
Yeah, I will say something, is to enjoy is to believe, is to really believe of why you're doing this, your purpose. Because if you start to be distracted with an environment or people don't believe in you, you might feel disconnected with yourself, and then you lose the track. But if you always remember why you're doing this, your own belief, you're gonna keep going it, whatever it is. I will share with you my personal experience. My dream, I always wanted to learn English. I left my country when I was 25 years old with a backpack and 600 euros in my pocket. When I said this to my friend, I said, "Are you serious? What's wrong with you? Why are you going there? You get," and say, "No, if I start to listen to those people, I will stay there doing nothing." But not, I really believe on myself why I'm doing this, and I succeeded. And during the process, yes, definitely I enjoy, because I was so passionate about doing this. That's the little thing, actually, because when you believe in what you're doing, you develop that passion, and whatever things happen around you, you just don't care. People might think that you are crazy. You don't care. I'm crazy. I'm happy with that. So I'm keep doing it, because at least I know why I'm doing this, and this is for me. In the end of the day, people also will benefit from it at some point. So it's always a win-win situation. It could be as an entrepreneur or as an athlete or whatever industry or field that anyone can be. it's always the same, I will say. Sorry, I just shared my experience. Something totally different. But here, actually...
the fire.
We're all on fire, I believe. I think we are all on fire.
El fuego.
So here's my next question. What's your success habits? Because some of you have shared some few things, so more or less, like you, Christian, what is your success habits?
Discipline.
Nice.
I'll say discipline. That's just a magic word. Every day that's been absolutely relentless. When you don't want to do something, you just get it done. Again, touching what people said before about the bigger vision, having that end goal. That's good. But when you're in the fire, when you're really struggling, it's kind of that a tiny little bit of movement going forward. That's kind of what gets you going, So you still always have that grand vision, but when it really gets tough to kind of make things work, just get that next tiny inch closer to the end goal. And then when you actually, realize you've done, these 10,000 inches or whatever the hell it is, and you reach your goal, I mean, when you get there, you kind of set another goal. But that nothing gets achieved without discipline. Everyone here understands that as athletes, entrepreneurs, everyone knows that without discipline, there's nothing. And that goes back to, self-belief. It's great to have a team to encourage you and whatnot. But if you don't believe in yourself, then why would a team believe in you? Do you know what I mean? You really have to kind of drive yourself, and then you can talk about driving others. And yeah, people might try and do the opposite and pull you down and say whatever they have to say, and that's fine. As long as you keep chipping away and get it done. So that key magic word is just discipline for everything. And get obsessed. Everyone here, I'm pretty sure everyone becomes a little bit obsessive or whatever they're doing, but I'm literally get obsessed. I wake up thinking same goal every single day. As soon as I open my eyes and close my eyes, just all day, same goal. Doesn't stop. That's it.
Nice. Very nice. Someone else would like to share his...
Well, for me, actually, besides being disciplined, I think one of the keywords is to have focus. Really being focused all the time, knowing exactly what you might be achieving, and to always kick yourself and to thrill yourself. I would want to share one experience with you. It might sound a bit weird, but I'm a lawyer. So actually people should think that I'm caring a lot about contracts. But with most of the athletes that I represent, I don't sign any contracts. And they're wondering because they want me to take care of their contracts. So they wonder why I don't sign contracts with them. And I'm always telling them, as a matter of fact, that's what gives me a kick, because I need to push myself. When I'm not the best anymore, then you will drop me. And the contract, it's just a way of giving me a feeling of safety, nothing more. Sometimes I need the contracts in order to show other people that I'm really representing that athlete. But otherwise, for myself, it's even better not to have a contract, because it pushes me to my personal limits to really do my very best for my athletes.
Great.
So being focused, know exactly what I want. And beside that, I really want to tell you all one thing. You're all shocking me that you're getting up at 5:30. I don't. So, I go to bed very late, and then I need my sleep. And then, okay, at some point, I have 2 kids. At some point, I wake up, and then I'm focused again, but not at 5:30. Sorry, guys.
That's okay.
So don't think about founding a group here and having a conference call at 5:30 with me. No way.
Yeah, I'm sure there are a couple of people up. I know Chris is out west, so he's up really early. But talk about discipline. The other D word for me would be determination. So I think like determination, persistence. It's perhaps discipline in motion, because as we launch and get up every day working towards our goals so to fulfill that vision, we all know that you're going to run into some obstacles and some setbacks. You're going to have people who don't believe in you, and the experts, I call them. All of us have them in our lives, those people who think they know what it is we can or cannot do, and see it as their responsibility to tell us what they think we can or cannot do. And then as an as an athlete, you may have a bad performance, you may get injured. In business, the deal may go through with or without a contract. And it's that determination, that will to succeed no matter what, discipline and motion, that I think is my superpower, and helps me to keep going.
Great, love that. Reina.
Thank you for all these informations. They are very interesting. I want to add something that maybe you all can relate to, because when we are athletes, all the skills that you have explained, we train for them. So we learn to be disciplined, we learn to be focused, we learn to create momentum. But whether you are a top athlete or a superstar, there is something which is very important, is mental health. On a subconscious level, what is the reason why we do what we want to do, what we do? Is it to prove someone wrong? Is it to be loved? Is it to be never beaten anymore? Is it to be admired? And it doesn't matter how high you can climb, if your sense of self-worth innermost is not at the best, then you might find a way to screw yourself out, one way or another. So this is something very, very important, because how many champions have committed suicide? How many great leaders have been bankrupt, won a lot of millions, lost them all, etc., etc. So for me, the biggest lesson is that everybody has a talent. Everybody has gifts, but not everybody has access to the right resources to train themselves on a subconscious level to really relieve these supernatural talents. Because at the end, success without happiness, it's not success. So we don't care if you're Usain Bolt or another great magician. It's so important. So for me, the super habit is to do every day. It's my training on a regular basis. I train on a subconscious level.
Beautiful.
Before I start the day, I have affirmations that I read. I'm reading some psalms. I have all these routines that I do before I do anything, because I have learned it the very hard way. But I didn't know that when I was performing, some of my results were programmed because of a subconscious pattern. For example, fear of success. So that's very important for me. I think we own to say that to people, we really, as athletes, we own to say that. We have to tell the truth. People talk about athletes like champions, great, looking good, etc. But what's inside the mind on the person, on the subconscious level? That's the most important for me.
Yeah, you did good. Yeah, and Duncan's doing the same. Good job.
Yes. Yeah, just quickly, I just would like to add something to what Reina said. Thank you very much for your beautiful comments. I mean, for your beautiful action, because it is action. Because I believe you can be whatever you like or achieve whatever you like if you don't find joy in moments, if you don't have like let's say, a good soul, or, I mean, who I am to say to have a good soul, but if you don't have a strong belief, you cannot do it. And I believe also disciplined. I mean, that's what I try to do to my humble level, that I try to meditate every day. And also, as I ran across the States, I was meditating every day. I didn't miss a second. And even when I was running lots of thousands of miles, well, it's really important. I mean, I was meditating. Maybe sometimes a little extreme. I'm not saying to be extreme that much, but sometimes I meditate for 4 or 5 hours while I was running, and I'll feel in trance. But anyway, that's another subject. But what I'm saying, it's meditation, which is also called mind programming. You program your mindset, right? Meditation to whatever you think is good for you, whatever you can give. The more you give, the more you get back. Whatever you can give out. Meditation on a regular basis is critical. If you don't have it, you get lost.
It's also worth mentioning that meditation comes in different, shapes and forms and sizes, right? So there's meditation, maybe you're sitting down and you're doing a namaste. That's great. Also, meditation can be exercise. When you're really training, you're focused on something, you can think of nothing else. You're exactly in that moment. And that's essentially what meditation is. It's being completely focused and in the moment at that time. And that can be done in, various ways. So it's always worth remembering that.
I'm gonna leave you here, guys. You're doing so good.
To add to Reina's point, though, she's so right that, to have all the trappings of success, whether it's, medals and trophies and records, or, a huge business and client base and so on and so forth, without feeling fulfilled, without, having that inner happiness is the ultimate sign of failure. And I think it's important that we recognize that, and as we work to achieve the goals, fulfill the vision, rack up each milestone along the way, that we are paying attention to who we truly are inside, and not allow that to get lost in the shuffle, because it can, in the adoration of fans or industry awards and recognition. We seem so on top of the world when we're out in public, and we go home and we are lost. And that's why you see, so many Olympic athletes, top athletes, after their glory days in the field of play, they fall into depression. That's one of the reasons why you see these great Hollywood actors and stars and so on commit suicide, etc., etc. So it's a great point.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say something. Is sometimes we just corrupt ourselves with our mind. That's crazy, because sometimes we corrupt ourselves with our mind because we have some negative thoughts. It's not healthy, and just like that, everything can be gone. All the training we have performed, everything, and just in one thought, everything can just shut down. So yes, the mental is very, very key for me. Definitely. Here's my next. Yes.
Sorry. Today, everybody has access to that. We learn about neurosciences, physics, quantums, and besides, to be able to dig deeper, understand how the brain functions and all the different subconscious patterns that we might be carrying through the process of performance. So there are ways to train ourselves to really program on a subconscious level to have this sense of fulfillment and to practice it on a regular basis. Because if everybody has a talent, with practice, with discipline, with focus, we might succeed. But if we really want to succeed and be happy and fulfilled, we can also train ourselves on a subconscious level.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. You're all good. I think you don't need me anymore, guys. I'm just gonna leave. You're so good.
Stay with us.
No, I'm gonna stay. Not now. Okay.
Well, I think the coolest part about it is that, like, kind of what we're talking about is, like, guys, like, the reality is like, how lucky are we? Yeah. Like, how lucky are we all to be able to recognize that, like, we get to do this for the rest of our lives, and we get to keep pushing, and we get to keep that athletic or that goal-oriented mindset even into business and other ventures, where, like Devon said, it's like, like Reina said, it's like there's so many athletes who hit the pinnacle of their career and retire at 35, and then they go, what next? But the reality is that, like, I'm 32, technically retired from my professional job, and now I get to do this for the next 40, 50, hopefully 60 years, and I'm pretty darn excited about it. But I don't have to ever stop. And I think that's, like, one of the main things about all of us is, like, we are really, really fortunate to be able to have a job and a career and a passion that we are still driven by, just like being a professional athlete. But the reality is that, like, we're lucky. And that's like awesome because people search for that. And I think that's, you know, part of my story is that I failed at my first one. Like I never got to the #1 player in the world. That was my goal. And then I had to reset. And it was, okay, here's the next one. But I get to keep doing this one. This one's going to take me 40 years. And I'm pretty excited about putting the work in to see if I can actually do it. Because it doesn't have to stop. Like we can, I just think I think we're the lucky ones. We're sitting around in this room right now. I wish we were all together because I think it'd be a lot more fun. But like, I like this. Like, this is cool. But the reality is that like we're really the luckiest people because we have found comfort in, you know, starting something, letting it go, and then repositioning. And then now we get to do it forever, or for however long somebody wants to do it. It's not, you don't have a cap. You don't have reality is when you go over, you roll over, but that's about it. You don't have a cap. You don't have any type of timeline. If it takes you 40 years, great. If you achieve your goal in 40 days, great. But the reality is you're just going to keep moving because I bet everyone in this room can't stop. And, you know,
the thing.
Sorry.
We just won't stop. Like just not going to happen. I know for me, like I can't stop. Like my wife thinks I'm crazy and I'm very okay with thinking that I'm crazy, but I'm very lucky that she also wants to hang out with me. It's fun.
She's the little one. That's good. Here's my next question. What mistakes have you made along the way through a career as an athlete that helped you who you are now as an entrepreneur? Sarah, I want to hear you.
I'm thinking. That's a very good question. I can see. Well, everyone is in front of you. Honestly, I don't know. Sometimes we're just like too eager to have the results that we don't have a lot of passion. Of patience. I know that I'm not very patient sometimes, and I try to just like get like where I want to be as quick as I can. So and I learned it. In my next job, like what I'm doing now, I know that I have to take my time to do everything. Like everything comes at the right time. So I think I learned it from my swimming career, from my rowing career. Like okay, so when I'm training and I'm trying to do things like rush things, let's say, either I get injured or I just like get like too worked out and then I'm overtraining, or, you know, so it's always not good to overdo things and just like let things take time. So now I'm trying to just like learn from those mistakes, I guess, if we can call them mistakes. So and I think it's working for most of the times. It's working because I still get impatient sometimes and try to do things like quickly, but yeah, we learn, you know, but we don't always learn like as quick as we should, but
a learning process. Anyone else?
I describe myself as a reformed perfectionist, and it's a really painful lesson I learned very early in my track career, when I was in high school, actually. Because we all want to win, right? And so my goal going into this one particular championship was to win 2 gold medals and break 1 record. And it was awesome because it really motivated me, right? It got me to work really, really hard. But I discovered, man, that, you know, we're not perfect. And if we strive to achieve perfection, we're setting ourselves up for failure. There's no doubt that there are times when we'll have a performance that could be adjudged as being perfect. You know, so I was striving for perfection, and in my head, I'm like, if I for 1 minute think I'm not going to win a gold, I'm going to finish 2nd or 3rd, I'm going to jog. And that's what I did. Einstein did that. And you know, I've learned that, hey, no, just try to be excellent. Try to do your absolute best in the moment. I think you can live with that, right? So that has stayed with me throughout the rest of my athletic career and in business as well.
Excellent. We still have a few minutes. My last question. So to each of you, what would be the best advice you can share with us today?
Best advice to share? For being a good entrepreneur, or always use all your senses.
To keep leading your life.
Yeah, always use all your senses.
Good.
Listen carefully. Listen to other people. Listen to what other people tell you. That's what I did during this hour now. I've learned very much from all the other narrators here. It helps me a lot. It brings me very much for my business to listen to other ones. Look at other people. Look at how they behave. And look at how people walk. The way they walk, you learn very much about their character. Yeah. Use all your senses.
Your senses, okay. Who's next?
I'll go next.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Anne.
Oh, thank you. No, I'd say being mindful and creating the space to connect back to our heart. I would say, in the sense that we really take the time to connect to this deeper purpose and meaning, and it relates to what you said also, Reina, to your definition of success, but just having this deeper reflection on what's really in your heart, listening to it, and having the courage to follow this deeper calling or purpose or voice.
Chris?
And I'd probably add on top of that, in some ways, that it really is about finding a passion. It's about finding something you love and making it personal. When we were athletes, as an athlete, it is your passion. It is the thing that you're willing to throw everything into. It becomes who you are as an individual. And as we're continuing to grow and continuing to find that sense of who we are, we want to get better as people too, right? It's not just an end result. It is growing as an individual, and each challenge then is an opportunity to grow as an individual. So if we find that passion, if we make it personal, then we have a real reason to move forward. And if we have a goal bigger than ourselves, we're often far more powerful. If we're able to affect other people, we're drawing on that power, and we're having a reason. I mean, this is Andre, right? If you're running across and it's just about you, you might be willing to stop. But if it's about the other people that you're helping out in this process, you're running on that power. So
there's also, thank you very much. There's also something I would like to add. I don't need to add that much because we already know what it is. Something also that I believe could be good for us and for other people is that, like, for example, as I ran all those running and everything, it's really, I try to keep a balance between humility and fire in your blood. You know what I mean? So it's really important to balance humility, be humble, and your passion and fire, you know, because all the time it's like a democracy or something. It's all the time, because sometimes fire can be really, really good, but sometimes it gets over you. It can become boastful, and we human, the natural man, is so easy to because sometimes I remember my first race, I arrive, I scream, yeah, I did it, but it's also when I arrived in Los Angeles on the Santa Monica Pier, I was happy. I screamed a little bit. Of course, I'm gonna scream a little bit, but also humility, you know, I balance it. And all the time they have to balance with each other.
Good.
Yeah, I would add, I think the biggest thing that I pass on to my team or anyone, that it's the two things that are: be your DNA and be obsessed with your own life. And I think everyone's made for what they're supposed to do, if it's through, you know, their biological makeup, but also their experiences. And if you can look in the mirror and be really good with what you see, life gets a lot more fun because you can be obsessed with your own life. and judgment goes away and all these fears go away. And it's just because you know who you are and you know what you're doing and why. So be your DNA and be obsessed with your life.
Excellent.
So I'm always encouraging and challenging people to keep on pushing. And it's not just about being determined, it's about growth. I think we're all created to grow. And this room is full of people who believe that, obviously. You know, we went through a sporting career where we sucked initially and we continued to grow until we became elite. And then we were done with our sporting career and we decided to transition into business, at another aspect of us growing and learning about, this industry that we have chosen to take up. But in the process of that growing and, you keep pushing, you are also inspiring, impacting the lives of others, which kind of goes back to what, Anne and Chris and Andre were talking about, this higher purpose, this thing beyond ourselves. I think, when we start out as athletes, we want to be good for ourselves, but as we continue to progress up the ladder, let's say, it becomes not just about ourselves, but our country. And as athletes who are in the limelight, it's about people who are being inspired by our performances, or at least by our efforts. And so I think as we move forward in other aspects of our lives as well, in an entrepreneur, you're in business obviously to make money and to achieve that kind of business success. But how are you impacting the lives of others through the business practices that you're employing, and as you're growing hopefully growing as a person, how are you impacting the lives of those people in your industry, in your community? Very, very important, I think, to be able to connect to that higher purpose.
Excellent. Yeah, well said. We still have a few minutes in front of us. Anyone would like to ask a question? Like Claire, we have here. Mani?
May I?
Yes, sure, please.
May I give what I really get back from all our conversation is true that we need to have a sense of purpose, to this strong drive to keep forward. Then the question is, what is your day now? And I know, because being a coach for executives and also for MBA students, some don't know how to answer that question. What is my purpose in life? Why do I do what I do? So this is something we can say to people, but we also need to support them in finding their why, we say, because we have understood that in sports, it's not about being the best, it's not about being the first. Then the second is when we want to perform and to reach big performance, we learn that it's not about us. Actually, people don't care about us. And that's something that in sports, those who don't understand that, they don't win, People come for the experience we give them. It has nothing to do with us. So we use our ego to do performance with the motion, with the body, because we need it, but not from a place of fight or flight, from a place of giving our talent for others, for them to give them access to their dream, to their goals through the emotions that we share. This is what we call the psychodynamics of sports. And this is only in sports that you find it, because you have to move to think. You have to be in motion to create this wonderful movements, performance, and that's beautiful. That's really what sports create. But at the end, it's about becoming champion in the heart of the people and not champion for ourselves, because really people don't care. It's not about us. It has nothing to do with us. Of course, it's inspiring, it's interesting, but at the end, it's really not about us. So when we have a product or service, for me, it's really the first question I'm always asking myself, and I'm also trying to help my people. Why do you do what you do? And let's find out, you know, and how you can really add value to people.
So inspiring also. We have Manny here and Claire. Would you like to ask questions before we leave? We have like 2 minutes in front of us.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Thank you very much to all of you, because it's so inspiring. I love everything you said. My question is about the transition in your athlete careers, your new career. How did you plan it? Were you thinking of it when you were athlete, thinking of your reconversion? Or how did you find the path of your new career after? Thank you.
Who would like to answer the question of Claire?
Claire, I think that it was during my endeavor, you know. So during my endeavor, as I talked to a lot of students, I related that I can definitely be, I don't know, like somebody to inspire people, or I don't gonna say mentor, because why I'm to say I'm a mentor, but just to help people, to inspire people, simple as this. So during the endeavors, during the race, definitely. So during my run and everything, that's when I find the passion to. That's what I find that I now after the race will be over, to convert it into something else, to inspire people as much as possible.
Yeah, for me, Claire, it was a process. My first Olympics, I was still an officer in the Jamaica Defense Force. I would literally take my bobsled uniform off, put my army uniform back on, and went to work. And as I thought about what I'd want to do after the army, I discovered this thing called hospitality management. And I like traveling, I like meeting people. And so I moved to the US to pursue that, but couldn't shake this bobsled bug thingy. And in pursuing that, I met a guy who told me about this thing called motivational speaking. I'm like, huh. So he planted the seed, and as I trained and qualified for my third Olympics, I just made that decision that that's what I wanted to do afterwards. And so here I am.
Excellent.
Congrats.
Manny, would you like to ask a question?
Sorry.
Yes, sorry, Reina, go ahead.
Claire, tu es française?
Yes, I'm French, Reina.
Moi aussi, je suis français, hein, donc on comprend.
Okay, so yeah, Claire, that's a beautiful question, because when we are an athlete, I don't think we do reconversion. You know, in French, we use this word reconversion, but it feels like you go from something to something totally different, which doesn't make sense at all. You know, when you are in top sport, you do transition. So it's like you're pivoting, you know. In basketball, the pivot is one person who is turning around the same place and distributing the game. But that's the same person who has a vision, 2D vision of the game and which direction it's going to take. As athletes, we are like that, you know. So we do transition. So it means that we use what we have learned to transfer it into another field. And for me, my transition has been about to relieve myself from these failures that I had because of lack of education on optimum health, nutritional health, you know, understand the DNA of Afro-descendant athletes living in Europe, mental health, understanding that it all goes on a subconscious level, physical health, understanding that the body needs to be in motion, so it's important, finance and wealth management, personal marketing and career management. These are for me were like 5 pillars I have experimented a lot of success, but also a lot of failures. And I don't wish that to anybody, even my worst enemy, that you don't make it because of lack of resources, you know. So for me, the transition was that I took passion for giving, for cheerleading, for championship people, you know. I want people to succeed, but how are you going to succeed if, yes, you have a talent, but you don't have access to the right resources to be in alignment, to be fulfilled, you know, because that's all we are looking for at the end. And that's really my passion, you know. And I can remember it when I was 4 years old, I already had that passion. I really love to be around people and talk many languages and see everybody happy and enjoying themselves, you know. So it's very deep inside of me. So the transition from athletes to today is I have founded a company which is called The Beauty of Sports, because I find sports is really a way for fulfillment, and that's the beauty of sports. So for me, it is the journey, it's really transition. It's not from one place to another. I don't know if it makes clear.
Yeah. Very clear. Thank you, Reina.
Mani, do you have a question? We have 2 minutes. I've been saying 2 minutes, but that's the last 2 minutes.
No, I don't really have a question, just a quick observation, because I don't come from sports background or athletic background. I come from a math background, where it's very interesting to see the commonalities between athletes and what I did as a scientist or as a mathematician. So it's amazing. It's amazing to hear everybody's story. Probably that's the only comment I had.
There is math. There is a lot of math in top sports. That's for sure. But athletes learn maths very well. You know why? Because they don't stand sitting in the butt the whole day. They have to move to think. They have to move to think. That is the kinesthetic intelligence. And you cannot imagine how many complex problems we solve through movement. You can ask any football player, any sports in the hurdles. It's even worse, like 10 hurdles, 8.50 meters between each hurdles. You have to take a step 3 meters before the first hurdles. You have to slay the hurdles instead of jumping, because if you jump, you crash. This is pure mathematics.
Yes. Well, I would add that an athlete's favorite number is 1. That's it.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for today. I really appreciate. It was a great conversation, very fun and very smooth also. So thank you again, and really looking forward for the next one. So have a beautiful journey, and see you very soon. Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you. Thanks a lot.